The entire airport went silent when the world's most advanced private jet refused to start. Millions of dollars had been spent, the best engineers in the industry had been called, and a $50 million technical team stood around the aircraft trying to solve a problem that no one could understand. But then, a tired single father in an old work jacket walked toward the jet, placed his hand on the engine, and did something nobody expected. The machine that had rejected the greatest minds in aviation suddenly came alive for the one man they thought was replaceable. Before we continue this emotional journey, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of people who are never given enough credit, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to Beyond Single Dad. Your support helps us share more inspiring stories like this. For years, Marcus Vale had been the man nobody noticed. He was not the CEO standing in front of cameras. He was not the wealthy investor whose name was printed on the side of a private jet. He was the person who arrived before sunrise and left after everyone else had gone home. He was a maintenance technician who spent his life fixing machines that other people depended on, even when nobody remembered his name. Marcus was a single father raising his 8-year-old daughter, Aria. Every morning before work, he prepared her breakfast, packed her school bag, and made sure she knew she was loved. Their small apartment was not luxurious, and their life was not easy, but Marcus always told her that a person's worth was never measured by money or status. It was measured by the difference they made in someone's life. For 15 years, Marcus worked at an elite aircraft company called Aravanta Aerospace. He knew every sound an aircraft could make. He understood the smallest vibrations, the hidden warnings, and the quiet signs that something was wrong. He had a gift for machines because he treated them like they were alive. He believed every engine had a story if someone was patient enough to listen. But the world was changing. Aravanta was preparing to launch its newest aircraft, a revolutionary private jet worth hundreds of millions of dollars. The company wanted perfection. They wanted advanced technology, artificial intelligence systems, and a team of the brightest engineers from around the world. And that was when Marcus received the news that broke him. The company had decided his position was no longer necessary. They told him his experience was respected, but technology had moved forward. A new engineering team, costing more than $50 million, would take over the work he had done for years. Marcus stood quietly as younger engineers walked through the hangar carrying tablets and advanced equipment. He watched as people who had never touched the aircraft before were now responsible for the machine he had spent years protecting. Nobody saw how much it hurt. Nobody saw him sitting alone in his truck afterward, holding the last paycheck from a company that had replaced him. That night, Marcus came home later than usual. Aria noticed the sadness in his eyes, even though he tried to hide it. He told her everything was fine. But children often understand pain better than adults realize. Aria held his hand and reminded him of something he had once told her. "Dad, you always say machines need someone who listens. Maybe people do too." Those words stayed with him. A few weeks later, Aravanta prepared for the first official flight demonstration of their new jet. Investors, reporters, and aviation experts gathered at the private runway. The company wanted the world to see the future of aviation. Marcus was not invited. He was only there because an old coworker asked him to help organize some final maintenance records before the event. He stood far away, watching the aircraft he once cared for like a child. Then something happened. The jet would not start. At first, everyone believed it was a small technical issue. The engineering team rushed in. They connected computers, ran diagnostics, and analyzed every system. Nothing. The aircraft remained silent. Hours passed. The company's reputation was on the line. The investors grew angry. The engineers became desperate. Every possible solution was tested, but the jet refused to move. The team leader finally admitted something no one wanted to hear. They could not find the problem. Marcus watched from a distance. He noticed something unusual. The engineers were looking at numbers. But Marcus was listening. He heard the engine attempt to turn over. He noticed a slight hesitation, a pattern that reminded him of an old aircraft problem from years ago. He slowly walked closer. Some people recognized him and whispered, "Why is he here? He doesn't work on this project anymore. He's outdated." Marcus ignored the comments. He looked at the aircraft, then looked at the engineers. He explained that he believed the problem was not in the computer system but somewhere deeper. He remembered a tiny issue that could happen when advanced systems interacted with older mechanical components. The engineers were unsure. A $50 million team did not want advice from a man they had replaced. But after hours of failure, they had no better option. Marcus was allowed to inspect the aircraft. He opened the panel, touched the engine components, and carefully listened. He remembered every sound, every movement, every feeling from his years of experience. Then he found it. A small overlooked connection had been creating a chain reaction that prevented the aircraft from starting. A problem so simple that advanced technology had ignored it. The engineers fixed the issue. Everyone stepped back. The pilot entered the cockpit. The button was pressed. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the engine roared. The entire runway filled with the powerful sound of the jet coming alive. People who had doubted Marcus stood speechless. The same machine that millions of dollars and the smartest engineers could not start had finally awakened because of the one person they believed was no longer needed. The company president walked toward Marcus. He looked at the men they had pushed aside and realized something important. They had replaced his position. But they could never replace his experience. They had measured his value by his job title, but they had forgotten the years of knowledge inside him. Marcus was offered his position back, but this time with something more important, respect. He did not return because he needed revenge. He returned because he wanted to teach the next generation of engineers that technology and human experience were never enemies. The future needed both. Months later, Marcus brought Arya to see the aircraft. She looked at the giant machine and smiled. She knew her father was not famous. He was not rich. He was not the person standing in front of the cameras. But she knew something the world had forgotten. Her father mattered. Years of hard work, patience, and kindness had built something that money could not buy. A person's greatest value is often hidden until the moment the world needs them most. If this story touched your heart, take a moment to engage with this video. Like, share, and subscribe to Beyond Single Dad because every interaction helps us bring more stories of hope, courage, and second chances to people around the world. And before the story ends, write, "Experience matters," in the comments if you believe that people should never be judged only by what they have today, but by everything they have overcome to get there. Because sometimes the person everyone forgets is the person who saves the day. And sometimes the world does not need a newer version of someone. Sometimes it needs the original.